Conclave is the new thriller from Edward Berger, director of 2022's All Quiet on the Western Front, which went home with 4 Oscars. The film follows Cardinal Lawrence, played by Ralph Fiennes, as he's tasked with managing the process of selecting a new pope, as the previous one has died. The supporting cast for the film includes Stanley Tucci as Cardinal Bellini, John Lithgow as Cardinal Tremblay, and Isabella Rossellini as Sister Agnes. This film, like All Quiet, is extremely well made. Edward Berger really knows how to fit every piece of the puzzle into crafting a compelling film. And it's really interesting to see the quiet tension that he creates, which will keep you gripped the entire runtime of the film as new layers continuously unravel. One thing I really enjoyed was the political thriller aspect of the film. The way the election of the Pope is conducted makes you feel like this could be a story taking place in Washington, D.C. And it's very fascinating to see the parallels where certain candidates for Pope have different political ideologies, and their supporters campaign to other cardinals in the conclave to try to draw them to their side and vote for their candidate. And it's also interesting how, as the film goes on, there's an increased conversation about whether they should vote for the person who has earned their vote, who they believe to be best for the role as Pope, or if they should vote for the person most likely to take down the worst candidate. So they would be voting for the lesser evil. And this is something that is constantly talked about in politics across the world, especially in the United States. And overall, I just really love the messaging around certain aspects. It really encourages us to keep revealing cracks in these broken, dark systems and to continue to try and shed light into them. And I think the final twist of the film really adds on to this in a great way. It will obviously be controversial among some people, but I think it was handled very well. The whole point of the film, as I said, was to keep breaking through to shine light into these areas, and this twist just adds on to that. It's not something like The Sixth Sense where the twist makes you rethink the entire film and makes you want to go back and watch it from the start to the finish so you can understand it in that light. That's not what this is. It's just another piece to the puzzle of shining light into these institutions. And while the ending is very surprising because you don't see it coming at all, I feel like it was handled very gently. A less competent filmmaker or less experienced filmmaker probably would have played this up for the sake of shocking the audience, but the way Edward Berger handles it, he completely avoids this sensationalism. Now, I thought the performances from the entire cast were awesome. Ralph Fiennes is, of course, the most notable performance here, delivering one of his career best. He really gives a masterclass in subtlety here, as the audience can see every internal struggle that's going on inside his mind, whether that's through his crisis of faith, his inability to trust many of the cardinals, or him grappling with who to vote for. Does he vote for the person who he thinks is best off, or does he vote for a person who he doesn't agree with but is better than a different option? So I think Fiennes is really set to be one of the top contenders for Best Actor this year. He just gives this performance his all, and it's absolutely one of his career best. Stanley Tucci has the biggest role among the supporting cast, and I thought he was very good. I don't know if he did enough for the nomination. He could get one if he coattails the film, but he was still great in the role and added a lot to the film. There's one scene in particular where he's arguing with Ralph Fiennes after the first batch of votes for Pope is in, and he really packs a punch in this with his fury about the situation. Isabella Rossellini, despite her limited screen time, is excellent when she's given her time to shine. While many of her male co-stars have more screen time than her, I thought she had a bigger impact than many of them. There's one scene late in the film which, you're building up to. You're so excited to see when Rossellini's character is going to speak up, and when it hits, it lands a punch. On a technical level, this film is just marvelous all across the board. The editing is really sharp and keeps the film tight and condensed, and there's always tension throughout. The cinematography is beautiful. Edward Berger really knows how to block shots. Everything in frame is placed so meticulously, and it's just wonderful to look at. Volker Bertelmann's score was excellent. It really added a lot to the film. It's much better than his score for All Quiet on the Western Front, which I thought got quite overbearing at times. This one, while a little repetitive, yes, still works very well for the film. I thought the costumes were very elegant. All of the red just oozing onto the screen is just a treat to look at. And the production design is very beautiful. They couldn't shoot the film in the Sistine Chapel, so the production design team spent 10 weeks building a full replica, and they did a great job on it. I will say the film does have a little bit of a problem balancing tonal shifts. It's part political thriller, part melodrama, and these don't always blend together in the best way. So some scenes can feel a little bit off tonally. And while this ends up not being that big of a deal because it's not a problem throughout the entire film, it does prevent me from loving it on the same level as some other movies this year. And I also think that while the film's messaging is admirable, it could have dug a little bit deeper at times. That said, I still had a very enjoyable time with this one. It's very thrilling to see the hushed tension and atmosphere that Berger crafts, and it's accentuated by all of the wonderful technical elements of the film. To top it all off, Ralph Fiennes spearheads this film with what will be one of the most compelling performances of the year, and this film is sure to be one of the top dogs at the Oscars this year. With that said, I would give Conclave 4 stars. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's all for Conclave. If you liked what you saw here and you would like to see more, subscribe to follow the odyssey that is Oscar season.